Today's project is something a little different along the lines of a festive wreath. I decided to try something a little different to the normal greenery wreaths or Santa based or Christmas based, and look for something that could be suitable for Christmas or even for Easter, and decided on pom-pom sheep. As you can see, I decided to do different colours. I got a little carried away with looking at different breeds of sheep. So these are based on various different breeds, and it's all put together on a twisted willow base and using various bits and pieces to decorate. All of this is recycled. So here we go. To make the basic pom-poms, you're going to need something to create them. Now you have a lot of choice. I use these clover pom-pom makers. They are more expensive, there's no doubt about that, but they are far more sturdy and they stick together more easily. They open up and they have a central pin, locking pin, so when they're together they stay together much more easily. These side pieces are much sturdier. As you can see, they're made of quite hefty plastic, and when you're winding the wool on, it stays together a lot more easily. And you can, if you're in the middle of something, you can close it back up and it will hold together and you can go back to it later. There's a cheaper version which you can get pretty much anywhere, that I think are more aimed at people teaching children how to make pom-poms. And these are, they're all basically the same thing, but as you can see, these don't stay together. You literally just push them together. They come apart in the same way as the clover one, but they are quite slippery and once you've started winding, you're fine. But I find that it's much harder to sort of put them down and not have that happen. If you're using them with children, and children are likely to break things, if your children are young, then these are great, but they do require a little bit more patience because they are a little bit more fragile. Again, you can get them in the different sizes, the same as the clover ones. The clover ones come in, these are the 4 main sizes, from the tiny one, medium, and that's an extra lot. And there is a huge one, a massive one. But of course, if you don't have any of these and you really don't want to buy them, then you can just do it the old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned way was with some cardboard and using just something round and then something smaller and round, and simply just marking around the outside of something round. Like that. And then you find the centre, don't do it off, so measure it and find the centre, the proper centre, so do it with a ruler. Then you put that in the middle and then you draw around that. You do 2 of these, you put them together and they do exactly the same job that these things do. The only problem is that they don't come apart, so you can't do that. So therefore you can't use a full ball of wool. You have to cut a length of wool, wind it round, because it has to go through this middle circle. So you don't need these to do this, any of these. You can use the old-fashioned way. For years I made pom-poms by just using cardboard, and it's perfectly fine to use. It is just a little bit more fiddly. If you're trying to do it quickly, these are quicker. But if you don't have them, and these are quite expensive, I think these were about £18 for the set. I think these were about £3 or £4 for the set. But if you don't have that, you don't need it. And the good thing about this is you can make them any size you want. These tend to be standardised sizes. Now this is one I had before, which is the same size as that one. So you can make this any size you like. You can make a huge one, you can make tiny ones. There is a time and a place for the cardboard handmade ones. And of course, if you're doing things that are purely recycled, then I'd suggest the cardboard one, because you can recycle cardboard, whereas these are plastic and not ideal. I have a number of these because I used to use them with my students, and some of my students weren't actually capable of using the cardboard ones. They found them too difficult because some of them had problems with holding things or with coordination. So there are the options for the pom-pom maker. You then need some wool. All of this wool is scrap wool that's either been given to me or has been found in a charity shop. Lots of people knit and then discard the bits that are left. So you can often get whole bags of pieces. You can use some really tiny pieces. You don't have to have a huge amount. As you can see with this, I didn't do all white sheep. If you're doing a Christmas one, you could just do all white sheep. I decided to do different breeds of sheep. So that's a grey and white, and that's a different breed of sheep. Jacob's up here, which is brown and dark brown. So again, this used up a lot of bits. Another one there with a brown face. So you can be a bit more creative by doing different shades, different colours, different mixes. But you can just use white and do them as white ones. So for anyone who doesn't know how to make pom-poms, I'm going to make one. I'll speed this up because no one wants to see someone just sit there and make a pom-pom. So I'll speed this up and just show you how pom-poms are made, how they're cut off, and how they're trimmed. I'm now going to show you how to make the more complicated stitched face. I will show you an easier face a bit later on. I've used scrap fabric. Fleecy type fabrics are best because they don't fray. And for this one I'm going to use a little bit of white fabric. So you simply cut a square, round about 5 to 6 centimetre square, and just using a pencil mark an oval shape on the fabric. It doesn't have to be exact, it can be very rough, very basic, it's just as a rough guide. So just mark it on with something that doesn't go through the fabric. So now you just need to cut it out, and again, please don't be precious about it. It can just be a very, very rough oval shape. You don't have to worry if it's uneven, it really doesn't matter. It's just so you can get the basic shape, as you can see. Then, using a needle and thread, you just gather the oval all the way around and start to pull it into a basket shape almost. So at this point you can either use some extra little bits that you've cut off, or as I've done here, a little bit of a filling type material. If you don't have any of that, just use some of the bits of fleece that you've been using to cut out. I keep all the little bits of fleece and just reuse them as the stuffing. So you pull it in to a face shape. Now for the ears, it's just a long piece, and you fold it in two and you cut it out in a leaf shape. Once you've done that, you tweak it in the middle so that it folds in on itself, and then you just stitch it to the top of the head. Once you've got it onto the top of the head, you can rearrange it a little bit and make it look a little bit, you can have the ears facing downwards, facing outwards, or facing upwards, depending on your breed of sheep. Now I've used embroidery thread for the face, and it literally is just using one stitch, and I double stitch the nose just to make the nose stand out a bit more, and then I finish it off at the back where you won't see it, and then start and do the same with the eyes. Now sheep have a black slit across the middle of the eye, so I've done that first and then finished it off at the back, and I then thread up some yellow thread and I do the top and bottom above the black slit in the eye, and that just makes it a more realistic sheep eye. You don't have to do this. You could glue some eyes on if you wanted to, or use some little sewing eyes, it doesn't matter. I just wanted them to look like real sheep's eyes, but it's not necessary if you don't want to. They can look more cartoony, and that's absolutely fine. Again, everything is finished off at the back. You won't see the back, so it doesn't matter. Then with the thread that you gathered it together, you make a little space in the pom-pom and then push the needle right the way through, pulling the face into the gap you've just made. A few stitches in that and securing it. Again, you can finish it off at the back of the face because no one will see that. You just be careful when you're doing this that you don't push the needle into your fingers, because it's painful and the blood gets all over the pom-pom, which I did more than once. So just be careful. Please wear something on your fingers if you feel that you're not happy with pushing needles through towards your fingers, and just finish it off so that it's solid. This is not something suitable for small children, so it doesn't have to be a safety face. This is the simple face. This is just a piece of black felt, and it is cut out in a basic sheep shape. A little bit of felt for the nose and a couple of little googly eyes, and you simply glue them on. I use this B700 glue because it does pretty much anything. It dries clear and it sticks better than anything else I've tried. Now, when you've finished all of this, I would suggest that you clip the pom-pom before trying to glue it on. It just makes for a flat surface so that you can get a nice flat even surface to put the glue on and to get it to stick to. And then you have your easy face. You'll need a wreath to attach your pom-poms to. It can be shop bought, they aren't very expensive, or you can hand make one by twisting some willow or some other types of sticks together. Now, using the pom-poms, I did try to attach with just the yarn that was left over, but it wasn't very secure. So I decided to try some floristry wire and attach with a piece of wire pushed through the pom-pom and then big enough to twist at least 2 or 3 times around the wreath.